I used to think Bò Lúc Lắc was a luxury dish, buttery, garlicky, melt in your mouth tender. But my mom always made it with cheap cuts of beef, and it was just as good as ribeye. And it all comes down to one simple technique called velveting. It's a method borrowed from Chinese cooking that gives beef its melt-in-your-mouth tenderness. I actually originally planned to show you guys this using ribeye, but I went to 3 different grocery stores, including Costco, and I couldn't find it anywhere. All I saw were strip loins and sirloin. So that's when it hit me. Growing up, when we didn't have much, Mom didn't use ribeye. She used inexpensive cuts, and it was still amazing. So today, I'm gonna show you both, because although ribeye is perfect and amazing if you're cooking for 1 or 2, it's not really practical if you're feeding a family or hosting a party. I'm gonna show you how to get that same luxurious tenderness using a simple trick. So let's get into it. So let's talk beef. We're gonna work with a premium piece of beef and also a more inexpensive one. Here we have this beautiful piece of ribeye. It's rich, super tender, and you can see that there's beautiful fat marbling through. And this here is a piece of sirloin steak. They also call it sirloin tip. As you can see, it's a lot leaner than the piece of ribeye with less fat running through it. So if you don't cook it properly, it's a lot less forgiving and it can turn chewy and rubbery real quick. So just for context, this piece of ribeye cost me about $28, while this piece of sirloin is about $10 or $11. Bò Lúc Lắc loosely translates to shaking beef, and it consists of these small cubes of beef that are perfectly marinated and then pan-seared in butter and garlic before it's nestled on a beautiful bed of greens, whether that be watercress, lettuce, or just a lot of herbs and vegetables. So because we're looking for cube-sized pieces, the first thing we're gonna have to do is cut both of these pieces of meat into small 1-inch cubes. So that's the sirloin. I'm gonna do the same to the ribeye as well. So if you're working with ribeye, you may notice that there's this layer of fat that runs on the outside like this. You can trim it off if you want, but I think it adds a lot of flavor. So I actually like to leave it on. I like to chew on the gristle when it's cooked up. Spoken like a true Vietnamese, we don't throw away anything. Okay, so now that both of these are cut up, let's leave the ribeye aside for a moment because we don't need to do too much to that. The technique's gonna really matter for the sirloin. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a half teaspoon of baking soda, mix it with a little bit of cold water, and we're gonna pour it all over this sirloin and let it sit for around 30 to 40 minutes. The baking soda is gonna raise the pH level of the meat so that all the proteins won't tighten up when you start to cook it. After that, we're gonna rinse it completely clean, and that's when we're gonna start marinating. Whenever I ate Chinese takeout as a kid, I used to always call it puffy beef because the beef was always so luscious and puffy. When I first started cooking and started playing around with this technique, I would just put the baking soda directly into the marinade, and that was a disaster. A lot of recipes will still have you put it directly into your marinade, but that is something I am strongly against. You didn't learn that here, okay? Because if you don't rinse that baking soda off before you marinate it and cook it, it's gonna leave a really metallic and tinny aftertaste in your finished product. Please, please rinse the baking soda off. Okay, so now that the sirloin's been tenderized, let's go ahead and marinate that and also the ribeye. I'm gonna be marinating both of these exactly the same, okay? First, we're gonna add a little oyster sauce, a little bit of soy sauce or Maggi sauce if you have it, some dark soy, a little bit of chicken bouillon, a little bit of sugar, and a little bit of cornstarch. The cornstarch is actually gonna help create this nice coating around the meat, which is gonna help it sear better. And that coating also helps the beef from leaking too many juices, which is also gonna help the end product. And at the end, a splash of oil as well. Okay, so now that we've marinated the beef, let's let it hang out for under an hour. I think we often think that the longer the meat sits in a marinade, the better. But when the dish is so focused on texture, it isn't always true. When beef sits for too long in a very salt-heavy marinade like this one, it can start to change the texture again, and then you're gonna be left with chewy, rubbery beef, which defeats the entire velveting process. So less is more in this case. Okay, so as the beef marinates, let's prep the rest of our plate. Start by cutting your bell peppers and sweet onions into bite-sized chunks, just big enough that it can cook through quickly in the high heat. I like to add green onions here too, just for that extra pop of color. If you're using watercress, keep the bundle intact and cut it into thirds. Then give it a really good wash at least 2 to 3 times because it tends to hold on to a lot of dirt. For the tomatoes, slice them thinly just like this. And for the cucumber, This Vietnamese style striping helps remove some of that tougher outer skin. Next, thinly slice your red onions. We're gonna do a quick pickle for the salad. Just mix a bit of sugar with rice or white vinegar, then let the onions soak for about 15 minutes. We'll come back to that shortly. Now let's set up our serving plate, because once the beef hits that perfect doneness, you'll want it off the heat immediately. Top your greens with the pickled onions and use the bit of that tangy pickling liquid to lightly dress the salad. Oh, and I almost forgot. Are you even Vietnamese if you don't dip your Bò Lúc Lắc in Muối, tiêu, chanh? Mix some salt, black pepper, and lime together to make a simple dipping sauce. I like a dash of sugar too, just for balance. Perfect. Now let's go shake some beef. Start by adding a bit of neutral oil to a hot wok or a pan with a wide surface area. Add your bell peppers and sweet onions and let them cook through for 2 to 3 minutes. Then season with a touch of chicken bouillon and remove from the heat. Now heat your wok again and add a bit more oil. Once it's hot, go in with your garlic, then immediately add your marinated beef. Make sure each piece has space in the pan. You want a proper sear here, so if the pan's overcrowded, the beef's gonna steam instead of sear, so work in batches if you need. Don't touch this for at least 2 minutes so you get that nice crust. Then, when the moment's right, toss it, just enough to brown the other sides for another minute. Now bring your veggies back in, toss everything together, then turn off the heat. Add a small knob of butter and your green onions. It's gonna smell like heaven at this point. Beef, garlic, butter. Does it get any better than this? Finish with some freshly cracked black pepper. And if your wrist can handle it, give it a nice shake, 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 just to say that you did. And there she goes, right onto that bed of greens we prepped earlier. Perfectly indulgent, but still fresh and balanced. You're gonna be obsessed with this dish. Okay, it's the moment of truth, the taste test. Same marinade, same cooking method. The only difference is the cut of beef. I'm gonna try the sirloin first. So tender. Has a beautiful sear on the outside, but it's still tender all the way through. Okay, now let's give the ribeye a little try. Okay, you can definitely taste the fat in this piece of meat. It's definitely a lot richer, but honestly, texture-wise, they're both really, really close. We didn't over-season it. The marinade's just perfect. It's savory enough, but then you have the tanginess and the sweetness from the pickled onion really cutting through. And this bed of watercress too, I think this is what makes it really authentically Vietnamese. I really like that. It's so peppery. I do think it's an acquired taste though, so if you find that it's a little bit too strong for you, you can go for arugula, or even like a bed of lettuce would be really good as well. So there you have it, another Vietnamese favorite. And if you're looking to learn more authentic Vietnamese recipes, don't forget to subscribe because we're gonna be exploring a lot more very soon. See you guys in the next one. Bye.